the source, Lawrence Okolie, moves to 14-0, capturing the European Cruiserweight title with a, 7th round. I had to check the round there. 7th round TKO over Yves Ngabu. Now, right away, I noticed some adjustments that Lawrence Okolie had made. He came out in the first round and he had his right glove on his left cheek to block straight shots. Certain fighters do that. Vladimir Klitschko was told by Manny Stewart to do that, to hold his right glove right there to stop himself getting hit with jabs in the mouth. So I noticed that technical adjustment from Lawrence. He had his right hand covering the right side, the left side of his face. And also, I don't know whether this is something that Lawrence has worked on specifically for all fights or for this fight, but he almost drew a line in the sand in the ring and told himself, Ngabu cannot push me back to the ropes. I'll go this close to the ropes and no further. And he maintained that all the way through the fight. So Lawrence would move back, but then he'd reach a certain stage in the ring where he started getting a little close to the ropes and he would not move back any further than that. He would literally stop. And then Ngabu was running into him. And then they would start, wrestling and mauling and all that kind of stuff. Now, Lawrence has been criticized heavily in the past for fighting ugly and for clinching excessively. I criticized him for the Matty Askin fight in particular, but also the Isaac Chamberlain fight for the amount of holding he was doing in both fights. In this fight right here, in the early rounds, it wasn't pretty, but Lawrence wasn't holding as blatantly in the early rounds in this fight as he was against Matty Askin or Isaac Chamberlain, because again, Ngabu was running into him, but Okolie wasn't just wrapping him up completely and preventing him from punching. Okolie was actually punching on the inside, if you noticed. And that's something I also saw in the Wadi Camacho fights. On the inside, even though it was messy, they were hands-free, so Lawrence wasn't tying both his opponent's hands up, and he was trying to punch on the inside. But because he's so tall and wiry, it does still look ugly when he does it. But that's one of the reasons that the ref allowed a lot of the stuff to go on by way of the mauling, because the hands were free. See, that's something you often hear referees saying, especially in America, is they'll say, punch or get out. That's what Richard Steele used to say, punch or get out. When your hands are free to punch, either punch or move away. But it's not illegal to be up close as long as your opponent's hands are free. So that's what was going on in the early rounds. It was messy, it was mauly, but Ngabu's hands were free. He just wasn't punching, and Lawrence was actually doing more punching on the inside than Ngabu was doing in the early rounds. So Ngabu, disappointing in terms of his inside game early on. All right. Needed to get more shots off, needed to be sharper, but hey, you either have the hand speed and the fast twitch muscles or you don't, and Ngabu clearly doesn't. So Lawrence was landing some decent shots. He did look a little, I don't want to say panicked, but he looked a little tense the way Ngabu was coming in, and Lawrence was looking a little wary of what Ngabu might do if he got up close. But at the same time, that line in the sand was drawn, and he did not want to allow himself to get pushed back to the ropes. That seemed clear to me that was some kind of decision that he'd made before the opening bell even started. So the fight progressed, and it started getting more and more messy. And at that point, Lawrence was leaning down on Ngabu and doing all this kind of Klitschko type stuff. And I think the referee did warn him a couple times for pushing down, but it was borderline. It wasn't as blatant as what he did against Matty Askin or Isaac Chamberlain. It was borderline. You can kind of let a lot of that stuff go. There was a few times where it was blatant pushing down and the ref did warn him, but for the most part, it was borderline. And he was landing good shots. That's one of the things in this fight which differentiated it from the Askin fight, is there was clean shots going in there from Lawrence. There was a big left hook in one of the early rounds that landed. There was some right hands landing, and Ngabu's eyes started swelling up. You saw redness in his face. So there was clean shots getting through from Lawrence. But as I say, as the fight progressed, it was getting more and more mauly. Lawrence's holding started becoming a little excessive. But right at that moment, when it looked as though it could end up being a real stinker, Lawrence got through with some very clean shots, a big right hand. Ngabu went reeling into the ropes. His legs were all over the damn place. Referee jumped in and stopped it. Now, my instant reaction was, that's a premature stoppage. That looked very premature to me. But at the same time, Ngabu had barely won a round. You might have given him one round, and even then, it was touch and go. And he was getting slowly broken down. Lawrence was landing, more and more clean shots. So, I don't know. Was Ngabu really going to do anything there? Or was he just going to get knocked out badly? He was probably going to get knocked out badly if the ref had let it go on. Maybe in light of what's happened recently, by way of tragedies, the referee was mindful of it and thought, you know what, let me stop it right here. So maybe that played into it, I don't know. But the way it looked right there was only going to be one winner. I think we can all agree on that. And Ngabu was seriously hurt by that big right hand, and we all know Lawrence Okolie can punch. So that's all she wrote. 14th professional fight, European Cruiserweight Champion. Yeah, there's going to continue to be a lot of criticism about his style and how messy a lot of his performances are. I think it's clear now that Lawrence is going to look a lot more impressive from an entertainment point of view when he's up against the boxer. Somebody who's going to give him space and room to get his shots off. Because if you pressure him, he's going to draw that line in the sand and say, nope, you're not coming no further than this. And so you're going to have to be real quick to be able to attack him, on the way in, not cumbersome like Ngabu was. You're going to have to be quick. Maybe, come in with the jab, because Ngabu wasn't really jabbing. So when Lawrence Okolie draws that line in the sand and he won't move back past a certain distance, you're going to have to be faster and more creative on the way in. Because if you bump into him, if you just, allow yourself to fall into a clinch, he's very physically strong, as we all know. And Ngabu probably thought he would outstrength Lawrence, but it was the other way around. Lawrence was outstrengthening him in the long run. It was Ngabu who got tired long before Okolie got tired. And the body shots as well. You might not have paid much attention potentially to the body shots that Lawrence was landing on the inside again. He was punching a lot on the inside. So even though it was ugly, it was kind of Andre Ward style ugly. I'm not comparing his inside game to Andre Ward's in terms of being that good, but the same kind of methods that Andre Ward uses on the inside, that's what Lawrence Okolie was doing. In UFC or MMA, I believe they call it dirty boxing, where you're up close and it's Morley, but you're still throwing punches. And that's what Okolie was doing, which is, like I say, I'm not as critical of what he was doing on the inside here as I was when he fought Matt Yaskin. Because against Askin, he just wasn't even punching on the inside. And he was wrapping Askin up so he couldn't throw any shots. That's illegal. But here against Ngabu, it was touch and go at times, but he was actually throwing shots. And then body shots, I think, did take some steam out of Ngabu's legs. So he wore him down, physically strong, landed the big shots to the head, and took Ngabu out. So 14-0. And like I say, he's going to look more impressive against fighters who give him room. If you move forward and try and attack Lawrence Okolie, you better know what you're doing. And even if you don't know what you're doing, it's probably going to make for an ugly fight. But if you're on the outside boxing with him, he prefers it, I think. Lawrence will probably admit that he prefers when he has space to box. Like, for example, when he fought Luke Watkins. He had a lot more space in that fight, and it was a cleaner fight and a cleaner knockout. So, yeah, I think it was a good performance. Not the most pretty performance to watch, but it was good. The holding, it was there, but for me, it wasn't too excessive. Yeah, it was starting to get a little bit like that maybe in the 6th and going into the 7th, but prior to that, it wasn't too excessive. It was touch and go. So, yeah, I thought it was a good performance. And for a guy who's only 14-0, you got to give him his props. Yeah, he's gone the traditional route, British Commonwealth, now European champion. They want to push on to world level. His trainer, Shane McGuigan, was happy with his performance. I think Lawrence was happy with it. So, yeah, we'll see where he goes from here. As I say, stepping up to world level, it's a whole new world again. because you got the likes of Maris Breedis, who's a tremendous fighter. You got experienced vets like Glavatsky. You got Uniel Dorticus. These are very good fighters. You got Makabu still hanging around up there. So yeah, it's another level again, but I don't think Lawrence is too far away from that level. The punching power that he has is world class, and the physical strength he has is world class. And when I think of the styles of a lot of the other fighters at top level, they might gel with his style a bit better. Because, you know, a guy like Dorticus can box. And Dorticus, not Dorticus, excuse me. God, I forgot the guy's name. Breedis. I hope I didn't say Gassiev earlier on. Maris Breedis. A guy like Breedis, who's probably the best in the world at the moment. He boxed a very, very ugly fight against Mike Perez. I mean, that was as ugly a fight as Lawrence Okolie against Matty Askin. That was real ugly for Maris Breedis in that fight. Horrible stuff. Should have been deducted multiple points in that fight. So just to put it in perspective for those who say, oh, Lawrence is terrible and he hugs and he does this, that, and the other, go and watch Maris Breedis when he fought Mike Perez. You won't see any worse example of holding than that. That was horrific. But yet, against other styles, Maris Breedis didn't box like that. You know? So, same with Lawrence Okolie. I think when a guy's going to give him a bit of space, you'll see a much neater performance. So, anyway, let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I thought it was decent enough. And I'm seeing improvements, and it will continue to improve. So, yeah, let me know, people. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.